Welcome back to Bro Watching. I'm Jake and this is Pranav.
Well, of course, we are your in-house football experts. No playing career behind us, but hey, we've got the best of the stories coming your way.
And so much has happened since we last spoke. Pranav, what has happened at Man United?
Well, apart from the roofing that is leaking in Old Trafford, there are fixes and quick ones, given that Ruben Amorim is the new manager that's coming in. Finally, some identity to Manchester United as a club. Erik ten Hag was a disaster. True trophies to his name, but it was time to go.
You're very happy about that news, aren't you?
Absolutely. I mean, think about the game that Ruben Amorim is going to bring. Finally, some attacking flair. Erik ten Hag spoke a lot about the pressing game, the abilities of the Dutch, given that it was an origination of the Van Basten era, the Johan Cruyffs. Think about that. But simply didn't work with the players at the club. Ruben Amorim, on the other hand, he's bringing that 3-4-3 dynamic to the club. Expect wing-backs to be more in play when it comes to attacking play. The midfield is what he loves to play around with. He needs to see an attacking progress. And I'm telling you, the players like Rasmus Højlund or a Rashford will be expected to be more in the box. Some direct play finally coming in for these clubs. We've lacked goals. We've lacked that intent, man.
Well, yeah, that brings me on to this question. Do you think players are going to be worried now for their jobs? Because they had been very lazy towards the end of Ten Hag's era at Man United. Do you think they're safe? Do you think they're going to work for it now?
I think a couple of the players are going to be counting down their weeks or months as it is. And some of the players have to take ownership. You look at the list of managers: Louis van Gaal, Jose Mourinho, Erik ten Hag, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Ruud van Nistelrooy had some great chemistry with some of these players. He went undefeated in his interim 4 games or so given as a position. But the moment Ruben Amorim comes on, he's got a Portuguese background. Someone like Bruno Fernandes is going to be quite happy with that. Diogo Dalot, for example, he's played in the country. He knows the essence of that game. But I've got to pick one crucial player, Marcus Rashford. Pull your socks up. You are the hometown hero. You've got to start getting in those goals. You can't stick around and expect a PR exercise to keep you going.
Pull them up like your sleeves.
Well, look, the guy behind me, he's going to get a game earlier in this club before I do.
Well, it brings a lot of question as well. Ruud van Nistelrooy has now left the club. Did you expect him to stay, working behind the scenes? That was a bit of a shock, or?
I didn't expect him to stay. I honestly didn't, because each coach brings their own stuff. They prefer that. It's an area of comfort. It's an area of having the dynamic that you want your own authoritative figure. You want control of the squad. You don't need the little egos in that dressing room, so to say. So I expected Ruud van Nistelrooy to go out. It's a bit like looking at Everton right now when they're a bit of shambles all over the place. Sean Dyche, does he stick around? Does he go? What's the situation?
We're in talks again with the Freaking Group who own Roma. They were in talks before the season started to take over. It sort of fizzled out, and back again now. It looks like it could be happening. We've got the new stadium as well, Bramley-Moore Dock, to play in next season. But the question is, if the Freaking Group do come in, it doesn't look likely that they'll keep Sean Dyche. But then who's going to take over?
You mentioned the new stadium, right? That looks fantastic in terms of the rendering, in terms of the construction right now. But how much of a distraction has it been for the fans compared to the game itself?
Yeah, I mean, look, at the minute, we've got the oldest stadium in the Premier League and the newest at the same time. I mean, we should have been focusing in on product, just as a football team, rather than the stadium, because we've not been doing great. We've been in relegation battles for 3 seasons now. But Sean Dyche has done well. Is he going to take us into Europa League and Champions League? No. But he's done a great job at keeping us up from the relegation battle. So let's just see what happens.
Well, I think there's a little bit of that club ego that comes into play once you start putting in the money for infrastructure, or whether it's that level of success that you want to meet. I want to take you back to a certain incident with Real Madrid, for example.
Yes.
One of the most successful clubs across Europe. But then comes the Ballon d'Or award, where they're nominated and they win the Club of the Year award, and not a single player or coach has showed up to this event. I think it's a bit of a disgrace if you talk about football heritage and if you talk about the success of those awards.
Yeah, it's mental. None of them showed up. There was a leak, was there, beforehand? What happened there? What went down?
Well, this is what is bizarre about the football world these days. You talk about Twitter being a social media platform. You talk about Instagram, and there are certain journalists that have access to who's won, who's been nominated or so, and that information goes out hours before the awards. Stop doing that. It kills the thrill of what an award ceremony is. And the moment Real Madrid found out that they're not winning, that their player is not winning Ballon d'Or award, they said, that's it. It's a disgrace. We've been disrespected is what they're saying. And true to their integrity of their team and the coach, they said, we're not coming around for this.
Yeah, right. And Rodri, of course, then won the Ballon d'Or. How do you feel as a United fan, Rodri winning it?
Look, I wasn't really expecting that a Manchester City player would be winning the Ballon d'Or award this quick. I thought it would take a couple of years. And look at the players that Manchester City have had who've won trophies. You look at Sergio Aguero, you look at David Silva, for example. I thought those were the players who were in contention of Ballon d'Or titles. But take nothing away from Rodri. He's won an international trophy with Spain in the Euros. He's been critical for Manchester City's Premier League wins. We saw that in the Champions League as well when Rodri played. And I think he's only lost one game in all that he's played recently. Of course, now sidelined due to injury. That's going to be a big loss for Pep Guardiola and his team. And rumors have it that Pep has indeed got a contract extension as a manager with Manchester City for one more year.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's
Very interesting.
It's going to be interesting, and I think the matchups now will be how does Pep Guardiola go up against Ruben Amorim. I mean, Jurgen Klopp left Liverpool, and then Arne Slot was the one that came in. Arne Slot's done very well for Liverpool, but it doesn't get the hype of a Pep Guardiola or a Ruben Amorim is going to bring. City rivals, history is there. Both teams now have won European trophies. Right? Both of them have won a Club World Cup. Both of them have won a Super Cup. Now, that's a memory that you have to rejig for me. Have Man United won the Super Cup?
Mate, I don't pay attention to Man United.
Yeah, we have to discuss that. You hate them? Where's this hate coming from?
No, I'm messing. But I do have a bone to pick for you, though, because you're a big United fan. However, in your fantasy league, who do you have captains week in, week out?
It's quite simple for me. As the Fantasy Premier League participant, you need a goal scorer. It would either be between Mo Salah or it would be Erling Haaland. They're simple picks. But
I know two rivals of United.
Yes.
You're captaining them every week. You call yourself a United fan.
2 years ago, I would have picked
Liverpool and City.
2 years ago, I would have picked Bruno Fernandes. But hey, I think Bruno's sort of fizzled out a bit. He's playing a more central role in the midfield rather than an attacking. So prayers do come for Bruno to be more of a threat, be it in goal scoring or with the assists. But I would definitely pick Erling Haaland or Mohamed Salah.
Got to do what you do for the points. And you are top of our league, to be fair. So what tips can you give us?
I'm putting in no effort.
Who are you picking that are those secret fantasy league players? Give us a few.
Look, you can never go wrong with an Arsenal player in Bukayo Saka. I think he's been one of those underrated performers for Arsenal and the English national team as well. And speaking of the English national team, they've got a coach change. We'll quickly come across to that. But speaking of Premier League players, now there's Lenny Yoro as a centre-back who's coming back for Manchester United just from injury. So keep an eye out for that if you want a cheap buy. Then there's Mazraoui as well, who has been an attacking threat. You expect that to change, be more of an influence with the new manager as well. So you said I don't look out for United players. Well, I've given you two options there.
Garnacho, your favourite.
Take that. Garnacho is not getting into my team. Not even my starting 11. He's got great game time under Erik ten Hag. It's time to put him on the bench.
Well, you did bring up the England national team then, and Jack Grealish put out a post on Instagram, and it's been turning heads a little bit. He was back on the pitch now with the new management, and he put out saying how refreshing and nice it is to be playing for England again, because of course he was left out of the Euros by Gareth Southgate. Very interesting. He's brought out a lot of the young talent again, which is a good thing for England.
Well, the biggest discussion point for England national team was, do they go with an English manager? Do they go with a foreign manager? And how's that reaction going to be amongst the English public, amongst some of the former greats of the national team? Well, it looks like that the new appointment is working, and Jack Grealish is getting into bed on time and getting to training as well on time. So there's been a bit of discipline in his game, which I think is what translated him to being more present on the field, because that was something he was lacking earlier. Pep Guardiola, you know the disciplinarian that he is, and I think he would have spoken to Jack Grealish and said, look, you're not getting in my team if you don't pull your socks up and behave. We know the kind of nightlife that he loves to have.
Yeah, I mean, he won't be having many more holidays over here anytime soon with him being back at work. Because I saw him on New Year's Eve around this time last year. Yeah. We were on the plane coming over. He was flying in for New Year's. And he was on one.
Well, Dubai is the place to be. There are going to be a lot more celebrities, a lot more football legends that are going to be coming to town, and we'll bring you the best of stories